Welcome to Senior Insights. I'm excited today because I'm recording this after I did another live. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about all the things that I accomplished today, what made me happy today, and a little thing that made me kind of angry. So let's get started. Grab a seat. Come on in. I keep forgetting to say that lately. Make sure you don't push the flowers out of the way because I want them in the view. I'm not going to make you look at each individual blossom like I have in the past. But aren't they pretty? For those of you who are new, I got these sunflowers from the grocery store. Can you imagine that? And there's 6 blossoms, or 6 flowers, for $7.99. So I am just absolutely thrilled with those. And they hide, well, I have mums there in the background. They won't last too well in the house. But we'll see. I have tons outside so I can rotate them and then that'll be good. What am I talking about? Are you having a good day today already? How many of you, fess up, how many of you got up at 3:30? 4:30, 5 o'clock. How do you do it? How do you do it? That video that went out, I'm going to say yesterday, but it's really today. Don't pay attention as long as it's out. The video on sleeping, some interesting things came out of that. I will summarize it in the at the board meeting, but I thought that there were some good comments and helpful things. So I'll share those at the board meeting. If you show up, you do know that it is mandatory. I just thought I'd remind you of that. Well, the reason I'm doing this wing it one is because right around 2:30. I was busy all morning, and let me tell you what I did. You know how how the raccoons and the skunks, I probably told you this, but I'm telling you again, how they tore up all the trash bags, and there was stuff all over the front porch where people come. So I cleaned that up a couple of weeks ago, and then I did the same thing. And it was all over the deck. So yesterday, I think that's why I talked about sleep. And I am going to talk about exhaustion. So be thinking about that, because lack of sleep and being tired is different than exhaustion. So we're going to talk about that. But I can't talk about everything at the same time because, I don't know why, but because, I have my earrings in. I'm wearing these every week. I already told you that, but there's new people here. They need to hear it too. They're a little flashy for me. You can't really see them that much in the video, but they are a little intense. I think I'm going to start wearing more intense earrings. Maybe I should wear the ones that I have in my jewelry box that are absolutely gorgeous. I could do that. I can't be trusted. I don't want to lose them. I lost a pair of really nice. I lost one of a set of earrings that my husband had given me that I had worn every day since he gave them to me, way before he passed away. And several months ago, I lost one of them, and I've searched everywhere, and I can't find it. So that's why I started wearing all these different ones. And these different ones I only paid $1 for at Martin's, at my favorite store. These were marked $16.99, on the card that you would pay if you bought them at Marshall's or whatever. The printed thing. And then there's the Martin's price. So I stocked up on a few, and I've been wearing them. Now, at one point in my life, I had to have nothing but gold or silver. Isn't it interesting how our priorities change and how we change? I suppose our income changes too. A lot of people have requested that I talk about finances and budgeting and that sort of thing. I shouldn't say a lot, a few. And those were actually some of my early successful videos. So I think that I am going to do that. And you'll probably hear about the dishwasher again because that is what triggered the whole thing for me. So I want to make sure that I give you the whole story, the truth, nothing but the truth. Okay, I was cleaning the porch. So I had to go and I had to get the mildew remover because it was full of stuff. Steak grease. Anyway, you can get the picture. Then I had to take all the stuff off of the porch, which there was plenty because I had purchased some mums, which I said I wasn't going to do. But then after we talked about decorating for holidays, I told myself that I was a real poop and that I could get some mums. And mums are actually fairly reasonable to purchase. So when I got them at Home Depot. So I go to Home Depot and I pick out this one. I say, oh, this one's pretty. This one's pretty. This one's pretty. I bought 6 mums. I only have 3 stems. I'm telling you, that's why I cannot be set loose with any kind of money in my hand. Well, I spent my debit card, but still. That's because I was successful with my budgeting plan in January. And I'm starting to reap the rewards, but I don't want to get too comfortable because I can feel it coming on. Big spender. I got to tell you this. I think I might have told you. I think I did. Anyway, I'll tell you again. There's new people. I got some gift cards, and they were substantial ones. You know, they weren't $1 million, but they were nice. More than I ever gave anybody. I gave them $25 gift certificates. But that was okay like a year ago, and now it's not okay. So anyway, when I was cleaning my bathroom, because I am decluttering that bathroom and I am making progress, it's much worse than I thought. I was in shock when I did that video to see all the stuff I had in there. Wait until you see all the trash bags. I've saved the trash bags so you can see how many actually came out of that bathroom. They're not my regular daily trash, bathroom trash. A little bit of Goodwill, a little bit to someplace. I have to get rid of light bulbs and stuff. So I'm back on the front porch. Now my hose, I think, does reach all the way to the porch, but I didn't feel like dragging it from the back to the front. But I bought a 100-foot hose so I could do that, but I didn't feel like doing it. So I was getting buckets of water and I'd put it on it. And then the sprayer doesn't work to spray the mildew stuff. But anyway, so I pour the mildew stuff. I diluted it and I poured it on section. I did section by section because that's all I could handle. And I had a brush and I scrubbed it. And that mildew works fabulous. You can see the mildew in the dirt just dissolve before your very eyes. I mean, the water's dirty. And then I have a brush and I just brushed it. And then I rinse it off. Then I bring in my doormats, I shake them out, because I want to vacuum. I haven't done it yet. It started to rain. I came in because I had to have lunch. Gay called me. I was talking to her for like, I don't know how long. I wanted to do my comments. Oh, you know, you got the drill. So I accomplished that. That was my goal for the day. Finish cleaning the front porch. Well, it's not all put back together again because it started raining, but I have everything just about ready to go back. And then I'll show you a little tour of the backyard. I mean, of the back porch. It should be about 10 seconds. So I'm excited about that. I want to show you a chair that I have on that porch, and I want you to tell me whether I should keep it or if I should trash it. Because that's one of those decluttering things that has a meaning and is hard to let go. I have a friend who says, if it's meaningful for you and you care about it and you get pleasure from it, then you shouldn't let it go. So this is part of my decluttering stuff. So then I came in, I sat down at the desk. Melody called, my daughter-in-law. You all met her today on the live. So I chatted with her. Meanwhile, I hadn't combed my hair. I hadn't even washed my face. Nothing. I was like the wreck of the Hesperus. I'm talking to her. And see, I'm grateful that she calls me. If she didn't call me, then I'd be saying, she never calls me. When she was working, she used to call me on her way home. Now she doesn't have time for me. I have great daughter-in-laws. So I talked to her, and now it's 10 minutes to 3. And I had said in my mind, I said, I think I'm going to do a live. So I go in, I wash my face, put the cherries in the snow on, comb my hair, sat down at the computer and did a live. That was totally impulsive, like everything, every single thing I did. It turned out great. We had a great turnout. I'm not sure what the maximum amount of views were, but it was significant. You know, it was like 200 and something, I think. 195, something like that. Remember, I do exaggerate, so I'm going to exaggerate down so you don't think I'm inflating my numbers. If anything, my numbers are deflating. But that's okay. It's okay. I'm having so much fun. A lot of people don't like the lives, and I can understand that. And because they can't comment and stuff, or they're not comfortable commenting, and it's new to them and stuff. Like I think during the live I told you I was going to text Gay and tell her that I was doing a live. Well, I did. And after the live was over, she texted me again and she said that she watched it. And there was something that required a response. Oh, and I just said, I can't talk now because I'm doing a live. And she said, no, you're not doing a live. You signed off at 4:15. I said, I was still at the computer looking at the live, seeing how I could do those things that we talked about during. So I was still working on the live. So anyway, then my son Benjamin calls me. Mom, I'm just calling to tell you that I'm really proud of you. And that made me feel really good. I feel good about that. Because he and Melody snuck on under duress. I told Melody she better get on. I didn't say you better. I said, I'm doing a live, you should get on. She got the message because she got on. And she woke Benjamin up. Anyway, so I did the live. Then I sat down and I said, see, I'm trying this whole thing about Zen, like trying to relax between my tasks and everything. Somewhere in the middle of this, I get the bright idea. Remember the video that I talked about gossiping and complaining and how to flip it around? And I talked about what do you think of, a whole neighborhood gossiping about how high the taxes are and getting all worked up about it? And I said, why are they getting worked up about it unless they're going to do something about it? And chances are there's nothing you can do. Well, when I was talking to Gay in the morning, she was talking about the taxes. And she mentioned something about, see, I didn't even pay any attention. My taxes are paid through my mortgage. So, I don't get the bill and I don't really care. However, my mortgage went up $200 and I was kind of shocked. And the only thing that could have gone up is not the mortgage, not the insurance, but my home taxes. So she was saying that people that don't have waterfront property just had a small tax increase, like 1% up to 3%. I forget what she said. Waterfront property got a 17% increase. Well, it's kind of like when I bought the dishwasher. Something slapped me on the side of the face, and I said, why is that, Gay? Because it's waterfront. I said, that's not fair. So I got into a discussion about, the taxes that I was making jokes about, and I was right in the middle of the taxes. But what did I say? If you're going to complain, you either need to flip it around and make it a positive, or you need to do something about it. I called the tax office. Well, first, I tried to do it online. What I wanted to do is I wanted 3 years back taxes and the current tax bill so that I could compare them so I wouldn't sound like an idiot, when I called them. The website was so user unfriendly, I was really getting annoyed. Now, how good I am on the computer. You know it. I couldn't figure it out. I just couldn't get it to work for me. I did what it told me to do, but it didn't work. And of course, I'm sure nobody believes me. So then I tried calling them, and they give you the main number for City Hall. There's no, how they list all the departments in most normal towns? Well, you go through the main menu. The main menu says, if you know your party's extension, you know that drill. Well, if you don't know who you're calling, how do you know the party's extension? It goes all through these things. And then it said, would you like a list of numbers from A to M? And I said, well, it's a tax office, so it's not A to M. So I go to the L through Z list, and it doesn't come up. So, being the person that I am, I'm starting to get, agitated because I was already agitated. So, I finally get to this woman who answered the phone at the tax office, and she said, do you mind holding on a minute? And I said, certainly not, dear. I can be sweet when I want to be. It was probably 3 or 4 minutes later. It wasn't that long. And, she's probably the only one there. She's probably dealing with the walk-ins and the phone and everything. So I said to her, I wasn't going to call you, but I was trying to do this on the internet, and I said, your webpage is not friendly. So I am wondering if you can provide me with copies of these things. And she said, of course you can go on the webpage. I said, I don't think you understood me. I went on the webpage, and it didn't work for me. So could you please do it? Of course I can. That's what we're here. She was very sweet. So then I said, while you're looking that up, maybe you could explain to me why people that don't live on a lake road got a 3% increase, and lakefront property got a 17% increase. Well, she had the answer. You know, they knew they were going to get these questions. So they have the pat answer that all the property around here, all lakefront property or waterfront property, has been going up in price because we call them people from away come and buy up the houses. They knock them down. Like my house would be knocked down in a second. Nobody would want to live here. I love it. And everybody who comes in it loves it. But if you can pay what the town is saying it's worth, you can tear it down. So I said to her, is that a state law or a federal law? She explained because the houses were so expensive that it increased the value of ours. And I don't know, I forget what I said. She told me that it was federal law. And they had to enforce the law. And then I said, honey, I'm going to talk to you about my feelings. I don't want you to feel like I'm talking to you. I understand that you were unfortunate enough to pick up the phone. And it was me. I said, if you knew me in another role that I play, you would think that I was a very nice person. And I am. So don't get upset with me. I said, do you think that's fair? She said, no. I said, what about all the people on this street who have lived in these homes for years and years and years and want to live here till they die? And I went through a list. I didn't name people by names. The ones at the end of the street are in their early 80s, Gay's 83, and then my next door neighbors are in their mid 70s. I'm 77, and then we have someone from away who's in their 50s. We have someone who's in her 80s next to them. So I went through the whole thing, and all of those elderly people live here because they've lived here, not me, but most of them have lived here for generations. You know, they grew up here, kind of thing. I said, do you think that's fair? No, ma'am, I agree with you totally. I said, I am going to express my concerns with you, and I know that you don't have any control over this, but I am going to be asking you for advice and how we can get this situation resolved, because it is a bad situation. I said, my mortgage increase is higher than my Social Security. How are all these elderly people who live on the street going to be able to afford to live on this street? Can you tell me that? I hear exactly what you're saying. I said, you took away the homestead. There used to be something that they'd give you, they would promise elderly that the taxes wouldn't go up. But last year they took it away. So guess what? This year the taxes went up. So then I go on. I said, do you think that that's fair? Do you think it's fair? And she said, no, I totally agree with you. She said, I agree with you. So then I said, what if a group of people got together and hired a lawyer? Would we be able to sue this state or the city or whatever? I was just thinking out of the box like I did with you guys. She said, I don't know, that's a novel idea. Maybe you should consider it. Then I said, Oh, there was another. Oh, what I said, what about a petition? Say if numerous people signed a petition, would anyone pay attention to it? She said, well, you can always go to the meetings. And I said, if I went to the meetings and I spoke my mind just like I'm speaking to you, would the police officers come and drag me away like when they did with parents trying to talk to the school board committees? She said, I don't think so. Anyway, she got an earful. You just got an earful. You got exactly what I said to her. But then, I'm talking to Gay. And I told her the story. And she said, well, Kevin and I are going to the town meeting on the 20th of October. I said, great. She said, you need to come. And I said, well, maybe I do. We'll see. I said, what do you think about organizing the street, the people on the street? 4 people are not going to make a difference, because we know another couple that will probably come, because they're part of that little powwow group. So anyway, I said, I think if we should find out when the assessors' meetings are and go to those, if it's before the town meeting. So anyway, I said, because you can hoot and holler all you want, and just like I found out, it's a state law. So anyway, that was that. And then I put one rug out on my porch, and I said, I better record a video because there's nothing for tomorrow. So here I am, but I wasn't prepared. I have some things in the works that I think you're going to really have fun with. Trust me, it's nothing earth-shattering, but I'm just not prepared enough, and I don't seem to be having the time to be prepared. So I'll do a little preparation, while I'm watching TV or something, which I don't really watch TV. I watch YouTube. So there's something else I was going to tell you. I just thought of this. I never cleaned up the water under the rug that's under the chair that I'm sitting on. I'll have to do that when I get off the phone. See, I double and I triple my work. I think I'm doing something good, and then I have to do it over again. It's like, those bop-em heads that you can't push them down. Like did you have fun houses? Fun houses where they had all these kind of funny games, and you didn't have to pay for them. Well, maybe you did some if you were going to win a teddy bear or something. I'm talking too much now, so I wanted to tell you another story about my decluttering in the bathroom, but I'm going to wait because I might have to pull something out of thin air tomorrow. So what I would really love it if you would like and subscribe, and if you would share this with your friends on Facebook, if you're on Facebook. Maybe we could get some new faces. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow.